They stick me in a van with a behavioral health technician. I'm checking him out. So we go to the airport to pick up this fella, and he's from the state of New Jersey. He had never left the state of New Jersey, never been to the beach, and had been shooting heroin for 5 years. So I'm watching. I have no idea what to do.
This is your first visit, right?
This first anything. They throw me in a van with this guy.
Right.
And so he convinces this fella to come get in the van with us. And so we get in the van, and this guy immediately goes in his pocket, pulls out a pack of Newports, and lights up a cigarette in the transport van, which, is normally a no-no. And this dude takes the biggest drag of a cigarette I've seen in my entire life. I'm talking half the cigarette.
Like cartoon character.
The craziest thing ever. I can't even believe I'm watching it. What this tech had done is he had this fella's favorite song ready to go. He was a Deadhead, a Grateful Dead fan. But this tech hit play, and this guy's in the back seat. He's taking the biggest drag of a cigarette I've seen in my life. He's freaking out, loot is in his mind. Tech hits play. He hears the song, goes, "Oh my God, this is my favorite song." And the tech says, "No way, dude. I love this song." Bursts into tears and says, "I'm so glad I'm here." And in that moment, I realized what was happening. They were speaking to people's hearts instead of people's heads. Mm-hmm. And I fell in love with what that looked like.
Welcome back to MasterMined. I'm your host, Mark Scrivener, and joined, as always, by my fabulous co-host, Jeff Skillen. Jeff, man, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mark. Great to be here.
Yeah, man, great. This is going to be a great episode. I'm really excited about it. Today, we're joined by Riley Osborne, the Chief Growth Officer of Recovery Unplugged.
Yes, sir.
And, man, it's going to be a great episode. Excited to have you on. But before we get there, you came through another guest that we had on the show, and just wanted to give a shout out to him as well.
Yeah, so shout out to Jordan Young, who was a guest on the podcast, and he was like, "I know somebody who should really be on this show." And we're like, "Who's that?" And he's like, "Let me introduce you to Riley Osborne." So Riley, that's how you get to us today.
Yeah. Listen, Jordan Young is one of the most near and dear humans to my heart. He was... We'll break a little Landman intimity. He was at the very first AA meeting I went to whenever I'd gotten out of treatment, and he was the only guy within at least 10 years of my age at that meeting, so I just made a beeline for him, and 12 years later, the rest is history, so couldn't be more grateful for that guy.
Well, Riley, let's jump into the show, man,
cool.
And let's get it all kicked off. Maybe just to start us out, maybe you could just give us a little bit of background of yourself and what you did. I know college football player.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for letting me be a part of today.
Yeah, for sure.
This studio and your whole team's awesome. So
thank you.
Grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, so glad you're here.
Yeah. So for me, short and sweet story would be decent football player. Got to go do that in college. Ended up getting hurt and couldn't keep playing because I found out that I loved the way pain pills made me feel. And from there, ended up at the ripe age of 19, going to treatment and finding access to a whole new way of life. And had a phenomenal group of men just surround me and show a little butthead 19, 20-year-old exactly what life could be. And so just been blessed to have phenomenal humans around me. Moved to Nashville after that and jumped into corporate America, restaurant industry, was with a concept called Buffalo Wild Wings. I'd never really had a job before in my life, but sports had kind of taken care of that for me. And I thought, man, what if I could watch sports and get paid to do it at the same time? This would be the most amazing job on planet Earth, right? It was a polar opposite, unfortunately. Anytime there was a game I wanted to see, so did everybody else in Nashville. And so I never got to watch any sports. But what happened in that journey was I had some phenomenal leaders that were a part of my life. One's name was Stephen Dickman. One's name was Mark Greer. One's name was Joe Willett. And those guys, they saw something in me. They invested in me. They showed me what leading leaders looked like. And so I ended up with basically the whole state of Tennessee from a leadership perspective, and loved that, but I knew there had to be more to my story. There was this little voice in my head that just kept saying there's got to be more than cold beer and chicken wings. And so that's when I made a leap of faith to join the team at Recovery Unplugged almost 7 years ago.
All right, so let me pause you for 1 second because there's a lot of interesting things in that story. The first thing that stands out to me is you kind of got this recovery thing at age 19.
Mm-hmm. I did.
How did it stick for you when that's just not the case for a lot of people, especially at that young age?
You know, I've spent a lot of time thinking about that because it is pretty rare that you see somebody grab a hold of something that tough at such a young age. And it had absolutely nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with God and then that group of men that I referred to. And I think the real critical piece was they showed me that I could have fun. That's what I was most terrified about, that my life was over. I was going to be miserable. I was going to be old, and I was going to be a dude sitting on my porch yelling at kids for stepping on my grass. Like, I wholeheartedly believed that was my future. And through relationships with people in the rooms, they showed me that you can live a life beyond your wildest dreams. All you got to do is dress up and show up. And so I took a hold of that, and they dragged me along until I could figure it out on my own. And I truly think that it was being shown that I could have fun, even without drugs and alcohol. That is what allowed me to step into that and really just dive in head first to the deep end. Because
so you really leaned into trusting the community.
I did, yes, sir.
It sounds like it was less about what was inside of you and more about just I need to follow what's working for other people. Is that fair?
Yeah, 100%. Because I didn't know how I was ever going to get past a 21st birthday without drinking, how I was going to go on a date, how I was going to get married, go to a graduate. It didn't matter. Like, drugs or alcohol were involved in everything in life, right? And I thought, I'm going to be confined to a room forever. Luckily, that has been not the case for me. So.
Well, when you say it's stuck too, I mean, the restaurant industry, I came from it as well, and it's definitely, that had to have been a challenge, being in that kind of concept. And so for you to stick with it through that is very admirable. But also just seeing how you rose to a lot of big roles in that company. I mean, to lead in the whole state of Tennessee, that's very impressive.
Yeah, it was, like I said, man, it again had nothing to do with me. It was the people that were around me.
Yeah.
I think that I've been blessed to have amazing humans put in my life over and over and over again through different seasons of life. And they're always being the right person to help kind of guide and lead me along the way.
Well, maybe we can get right into Recovery Unplugged and
Sure.
maybe just talk a little bit about, what attracted you there, and then maybe just tell a little bit about the company for the audience that may not know about them.
Well, back to that Jordan Young guy, he'd been trying to get me to come work in treatment for years. And I was like, dude, there's no shot I want to hang out with a bunch of crackheads and alcoholics. I don't want to do that, Jordan, even though that's exactly what I was doing in the restaurant industry, right? Nobody was talking about it in that environment.
Right.
And he kept pressing me. He was like, man, you would have loved this. You'd be so great at it. And finally I bit one day, and I was like, all right, you know what? I'll entertain a conversation. I'll do that for you, Jordan. So he sets me up for an interview with one of the two majority owners of the organization. And we have a great conversation, and it goes really well, but I didn't love this concept that music could be used as medicine. That just didn't resonate with me in a deep way. I was a 12-step guy, do the steps, or if you're not willing to, the dope man or the bar is always going to be there. So go get some more pain and suffering. And that's the way I was raised up in the program. And so I just thought it was a cute stick, I think is the simple way to put it. And I had a great job, was making silly money at 23 years old, and but something kept pushing me. And so I hopped on a plane, flew down to Florida where their corporate headquarters was, and never worked a day in treatment, right? I'd been to treatment, so I knew what that felt like, but they stick me in a van with a behavioral health technician. I'm checking them out and doing a trial run.
Right.
And hop in a van, we go to the airport, and during the pre-screen process at Recovery Unplugged, the last 3 questions we ask a patient are, what's your favorite genre of music? Who's your favorite artist? What's your favorite song? And most of the time, people don't remember answering that question, right? They're a little bit loaded, a little bit inebriated, and so we go to the airport to pick up this fella, and he's from the state of New Jersey. He had never left the state of New Jersey, never been to the beach, and had been shooting heroin for 5 years. And so we're at baggage claim. We see this guy with a guitar case on his back, walking towards us, and he doesn't look like he's having a good time. So he reaches in his pocket, he rips open 2 Suboxone, throws them under his tongue, and he's like, look, you know what, guys, it's not that bad. Like, I'm gonna just get out of here. And the tech, because I'm watching. I have no idea what to do.
This is your first visit, right?
This first anything. They throw me in a van with this guy.
Right.
And so he convinces this fella to come get in the van with us. And so we get in the van, and this guy immediately goes in his pocket, pulls out a pack of Newports, and lights up a cigarette in the transport van, which, is normally a no-no. And this dude takes the biggest drag of a cigarette I've seen in my entire life. I'm talking half the cigarette.
Like cartoon character.
The craziest thing ever. I can't even believe I'm watching it. What this tech had done is he had this fella's favorite song ready to go. He was a Deadhead, a Grateful Dead fan. Mm-hmm. I don't remember the exact song. I wish I could, because this story would sound a whole lot cooler if I could give you the actual song that played. But this tech hit play, and this guy's in the back seat. He's taking the biggest drag of a cigarette I've seen in my life. He's freaking out. Luda's in his mind. Tech hits play. He hears the song and goes, oh my God, this is my favorite song. And the tech says, no way, dude. I love this song. Burst into tears and says, I'm so glad I'm here. And in that moment, I realized what was happening. They were speaking to people's hearts instead of people's heads. Mm-hmm. And I fell in love with what that looked like. And so fast forward to, so I was a yes immediately. Mm-hmm. They knew what they were doing. I've adopted that process now.
Yeah,
myself.
well, it's funny because you made it sound like you were approaching this whole thing with your head. Mm-hmm. It's like you weren't approaching it with your heart.
Correct.
And then you had to see that in somebody else before you're like, oh, I do have a heart for this.
Yep. You're 1,000,000,000,000% right. 1,000,000,000,000% right. And I've gotten to see that every single day with patients, with staff, the whole nine. And it's culture for me, I think, is the most important component to any organization as a whole. If you don't have the right culture at the top, right, everything floats downwards. If the culture at the top isn't correct, then nothing else is going to work well. And that's what Recovery Unplugged had, what I've gotten to build inside of the organization with some awesome people. And so the short and sweet then is, so I joined as a director of operations for a de novo project here in Nashville. Then 3 months into that job, I'm an executive director. Terrible idea. Awful, right? I've never worked in treatment. I don't know anything. I knew a little bit, right? I had some awesome people, but 3 months working in treatment. I'm an executive director of a 38-bed detox residential facility.
Makes sense.
Awful idea, right? Went really, really well because of the people that were a part of the team that helped me deliver the care. And I had a phenomenal partner and a medical director named Dr. Michael Ferry that knew that he saw something in me. So that man set me in on every single initial psychiatric evaluation, every single history and physical, every follow-up medication management visit, just gave me a crash course in addiction medicine over a 2-month window. And I will forever be indebted to that man with what that allowed me to then go do. And COVID happens. I got really pissed off during COVID, and I was in the shower. I'm not a real big energy guy, but something about being in a shower for me allows me to think a little more clearly. I think somebody will tell me it's the water, or like I don't know. I'm grounded. But during that, I came up with an idea to take Recovery Unplugged and put it into people's homes. So I got to start a company underneath the Recovery Unplugged umbrella that we call our virtual services organization today. And that went really well. We got a little over 300 patients inside of that entity that access care on a daily basis from the comfort of their own home.
Riley, we just glossed over. We didn't tell us what your favorite song is.
Okay, all right. Listen, this is tough. I played football.
Okay, so favorite artist. What are the 3 questions?
Favorite genre.
Favorite artist. Favorite song. Okay, you knew that we're going to put you on the spot, and then we're going to go back to your brilliant career.
Okay, all right. So for me, this is a judgment-free zone.
Oh yeah.
I am a hardcore thug rap guy to my core, and that's not normal in the recovery space, right? Because they do glorify drugs and sex, but I mean, rock and roll is also the same way, right? It's drug, sex, and rock and roll. So like, rap can get a bad rap. I'm assuming you guys might be rock and roll fans a little bit, or
no? I come from the Miles Davis school where there's only 2 types of music: good and bad.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
cool.
That's it.
I like that answer. Okay,
Yep.
So I'm a hardcore thug rap guy. But with that being said, my taste has changed a little bit over the years. So today, I would say my favorite artist is an EDM artist named Odessa. It's these 2 guys. Going to one of their shows is straight up a spiritual experience. So if you ever get a chance, check it out. Guarantee you would feel the exact same way.
Did not have you pegged for an EDM guy.
It's different EDM. It's not like your brain getting beat up from the bass kind of show. It's they bring a drum line out at the show where it literally.
So there's more to it than
it's not just somebody going up there and on the speakers. So
and we don't have to stay in this zone here but it's interesting that you choose EDM, which, let's face it, there's a lot of recreational drugs and alcohol that are associated in like making that work, right? And so it's just interesting how you have a foot in that world.
Listen, I don't know what it is, and I don't know that I would pick a favorite song, to be honest with you. That is one thing I don't think I have. Music is that one thing it's a universal language, right? It doesn't matter if you're speaking Swahili and I'm speaking French. If we turn on music that we both like, we can have a conversation.
100%.
We can have an experience with each other.
100%.
So that's been something that's been super awesome for me to be able to live in that world.
Well, Riley, I was going to say, man, in high school, I think Eazy-E was like on my radio most of the time.
Were you using...
It was
tapes?
No, it was at that time. It went to DVDs now.
8 tracks.
Well, yeah, it was an 8-track. Come on now, Jeff. Maybe no. It was DVDs by that time. So.
Okay, all right, guys. I just was trying to figure out what we were talking about.
Yeah, but hey, getting back to, I mean, you've worked in almost every role there at Recovery Unplugged on your way up to what you're doing now, Chief Growth Officer. I guess today, like, how do you define growth in behavioral health and with the organization? How are you guys looking at it?
I don't think there's any one true measuring tool for growth, right? Like, sure, you could use revenue as your gauge, but I don't think that even scratches the surface. I mean, sure, if you're going out and you're talking to a PE investor, that is the important metric, and then EBITDA becomes the other important metric to someone of that, demographic. But for me, what does growth look like in behavioral health care? It looks like how many leaders are we producing that are stepping into bigger, broader, better roles. That's number one. That culture component is still, for me, that's my true north. Do people want to show up to work and keep working here inside this organization? If the answer is yes to that, we're doing something right. So that's a huge piece for me. And then the second huge piece has to be, what are your outcomes actually telling you? So for us, one of the things I love to hang my hat on, and it's not me, it's just the awesome humans that are delivering care, is first time in treatment individuals, 54% of the time, they stay clean and sober when they leave one of our programs. So compare that to the national average of 10%.
Wow.
we're doing a pretty solid job.
Yeah.
We're not where I want to be. I want to get to 60. I want to get to 70. I want to get to a world where 100% of people, first time you go to treatment, you don't have to go back. I don't think we're going to get there, right? I think it's the old saying of, if there was a pill to fix addiction, give me two.
What are you all doing different? Like what is
awesome
getting those
question.
kind of results?
It 1000% for me, and I wasn't a big therapy guy, right? When I went to treatment, I got a, hey, how are you? And I now know today that was a BPSA, and then I got a discharge planning meeting, right? That was so the 12 steps is what got me sober. Recovery Unplugged comes from a very different philosophy. And so we do daily individual therapy during detox, and then 3 individual sessions per week during residential, all with master's level clinicians that have that additional training for the mental health component that I think we can all agree is the underlying challenge that most people have that are struggling with addiction. They've been self-medicating, and that's how they end up in that bed. And so I truthfully believe that diving in from an individual therapy perspective is the single largest determining factor in someone's ability to have that foundation while in treatment to then go out into the real world and put it into practical use. That, I think, is it, right? We could dive into, we're doing CBT, we're doing DBT, I have a brain spotting specialist in every site, I have EMDR specialists in every single, like all that stuff's awesome, but it's that human-to-human interaction that is where the real work happens. And I think that is the point that really gives us that 54% efficacy, right?
Yeah.
You know, back to the culture building aspect, because I mean, you do have a reputation for kind of a cool workplace. And one of the things that I saw after Jordan said, you need to check out Riley. So I saw this big thing on Instagram where you're wearing this shirt that says it's okay to not be okay. And I was like, you know, for a person in leadership to put that out there, I think is great. So what's the story behind that?
Yeah, great story. Actually, not a great story. I fought being the guy that was willing to say it's okay to not be okay with every ounce of my being.
Well, so let me pause you just for a second, because you do present as this very together, pretty corporate guy, actually. And then I was like, I'm seeing a sort of a cognitive dissonance or a disconnect here. So it's like, I'm totally tracking with what you're saying. So go ahead.
I think, I mean, I'm 6'2", depending on the week, somewhere between 235, 240 pounds. I love going to the gym. I like being the big guy. I like being tough. Nothing phases me. I'm 10 foot tall and bulletproof. That's who I want to be, right?
Right.
That doesn't always serve me super well. And the conclusion I've come to is, it's okay to not be okay, but there absolutely is a way to become okay. I think as long as you keep that second line in there, I'm willing to step up and be a part of, right? I don't love the idea of, like, if you're sick, you're sick, sorry about it, like, deal with it.
Right.
No, that if something's wrong, there's most likely a solution out there. You just got to be willing to go work for that solution. And so putting that shirt on, and it was my idea, the whole nine.
So it was your idea?
It was, yeah. I've turned into a marketer, marketing I don't know how. My wife looks at me and she's like, when did you get good at all that? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. But truthfully, it was a big step for me to be willing to pull the mask down and to step into that space of, you know what, like, not every day is rainbows and unicorns. There's tough days, there's bad days, there's not awesome, outcomes that are going to happen, and being able to see them as exactly what they are, instead of just being a toxic optimist and wanting it to be awesome, even though it's not, right? Being honest about the truth of the matter. So it's okay to not be okay really is that me being that person that's willing to step into that light and say, hey, like, if I'm willing to do it, it's okay for you to do it. So I'm trying to lead by example.
So what happened after you did that?
It opened up a doorway for me with my team and then with the world as a whole. Truthfully, what it did is I have a separate project, nonprofit called Sober Sessions, where I create experiences for people in recovery to see that they can have fun again. without drugs and alcohol. And it blew the doors open for that opportunity. And it's turned into, raising tens of thousands of dollars to then go put people into treatment and really increase that impact component, that making a bigger dent in the world while I'm here, what I think all of us really want to do at the end of the day. But it also forces me on a consistent basis to answer a question just like this one that you're asking me right now, which is getting vulnerable and being okay with being honest and talking about feelings and being the guy that doesn't hide behind a big physique and a facade.
That's really cool.
Moving up here to Nashville and launching in Nashville makes a lot of sense from just a musical therapy standpoint.
Yeah.
Lots of musicians here, lots of people moving to Nashville to become musicians. I guess, what have you seen from just the industry? Have they leaned into what you guys are doing, and have you gotten other people involved that maybe very successful musicians?
Yeah, great question. Nashville made a ton of sense since it's Music City, right? You highlighted that. We've got Fort Lauderdale, destination location, Austin. It's the, what do they call it, live music capital of the world.
Well, no, hold on.
Austin's a knockoff Nashville, in my opinion, just to be clear.
So for all the people in Austin out there, I'm going to go with the jive music capital of the world.
All right, cool. You guys can have that one. And then, so Nashville was stop number 3. And here, it's been extremely simple to find individuals that want to use their talent to support other human beings. And so that's really been kind of the largest difference in the Nashville community. Tuesdays, I bring somebody out that's in long-term recovery to jam out with the clients for an hour, and then they share 30 minutes of experience, strength, and hope. Wow. Right? That's the one piece. So we've got a waiting list of, no exaggeration, 20 weeks out. I have people signed up for every single Tuesday.
Really?
Just people from the community. And then Fridays we do what we call Feel Good Friday. And we've got literally 6 weeks booked out in advance of bands that are signing up to come play for the clients and show them that you can go into the weekend not having to hit the dope man up, not having to stop at the liquor store on the way home. It's going to be okay. And so that's at all locations, but Nashville's the easiest one by a long shot for me to fill those. The other ones, it can be a lift. So
when people call Recovery Unplugged, are they like, we'd really like to be in Nashville? Or, is that the easiest one to get people attracted to? Or does it really matter?
It doesn't. And one clarifying point I always like to give is around 15% of our clients are actually musicians. The other 85% are regular human beings that, like me, have zero musical talent, right? Like my dad got all the music talent, plays every instrument under the sun, basically a savant. And then there's me, I got that athlete gene. And now, I find myself operating in the music management side of things with putting on shows and stuff. And so that 15% are some of the most amazing musicians on planet Earth that step through our doors. We've had, I don't want to break HIPAA, but we've had literally thousands of decent named musicians come through our programs. But the other, 28,000 people we've treated in 13 years are regular people that enjoy music.
When was the last time you met somebody that actually said, I hate music?
Well, I've had it happen a couple times, but 99.
But you're gonna break through that,
listen,
right?
Here's how it goes. They come in, they're being a turd, they're not feeling great, right? Whatever it might, at any of our locations, any of the 13 brick and mortars we got. I hate music. I don't want to listen to it. And it's like, all right, dude, get it. All good. No worries. 15 minutes later, they're in, we call it our vibe room, if you will, but it's a room where the lights are sound activated, the floor vibrates from the subwoofers. It's meant to be a space to go check out, and they're in there putting on their favorite song. And my favorite thing to do is go, dude, I thought you didn't like music. Leave me alone. Okay, all right, got it. So I've never met a human that doesn't, in some way, shape, or form, enjoy music to some level, because it is like it. From the earliest of
tribal.
times.
It's tribal.
Yes.
No question.
When we were sitting around campfires,
100%.
being hunter-gatherers,
right,
we were listening to music.
It is so much a part of your DNA. I mean, it's just, you can't extract it.
Yep.
You can't. It's just the way it is.
Totally agree.
Well, just to stay on to that, I mean, over the 7 years, I'm sure you've seen lots of moments where music has created that kind of breakthrough in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And there may be one or two that really stand out to you that hit you in the heart. Maybe without giving up a name,
Yeah.
are there situations where you've really seen this be super impactful?
You know, I think the words I would use are music speaks where words fail. And what I mean by that is I remember a very specific incident where we had a client that had this massive family. So much family support, 6 brothers and sisters, mom, dad, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews. Like, I'm talking legitimately 20, 24 humans that are rooting for this person, right? And everybody's calling every day.
Mm-hmm.
The client's, she's losing her mind. She's like, I don't know what to do. I can't deal with this. And so her clinician said, well, why don't we do this? Let's pick a song that you can share with your family to let them know exactly how you're feeling and exactly what you're going through right now. And the name of the song, I cannot remember it right this second. I'm sure I will before we get done. She chose that song. The therapist then shot it over to the family and said, hey, I'm going to use the name Susie. Susie's really struggling. She wanted me to share this with you guys so you could understand where she's at. And the parents ended up calling the therapist and said, we're so sorry. We had no idea this is what she was feeling like. This is what she was going through. We totally understand now. We'll take care of everything on the outside. Don't worry about the family. We just want her to work on herself. And so I got to watch music speak where words fail in one of the most powerful ways that I'd ever been able to see. And it works both ways, right? Patient to family, family to patient. Mm-hmm. Patients think, oh, I'm getting better. Everything's going to be great. And the family's like, no, dude, you've been a tornado in our life for 7 years. Like, we're still rebuilding over here. So it's that for me in the treatment setting is one of the coolest ways to watch it take place.
That's extremely cool. All right, let me take a left turn.
Come
on. I'm fascinated to learn more about how you're using VR for therapy.
Yeah.
Now, is that associated with the nonprofit, or is that something completely different?
No, it's its own standalone company. It was born from that virtual program that I mentioned a little bit ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there's people that do well, sitting in front of a computer on Zoom. That works for a huge swath of the population.
A good chunk.
And then there's the piece of the population that doesn't do well in that, right? It's maybe they have ADD, ADHD, maybe they just don't do well sitting for very long stretches of time. And so I saw that virtual program working really well for a huge bucket and then failing miserably for the other side of the street. And so we had this idea of, well, what if we made this something that people could actually step into? What if we made something that people could actually experience? What if we could do therapy from the top of Mount Everest? What if we could take people to a beach in Hawaii and do a group therapy session while we're sitting there? And so that's how Good Thoughts is the name of the company. That's how it was born, and out of necessity to be able to serve people that weren't doing well with just telehealth on its own.
Okay, so practically speaking, we're talking about virtual reality headsets.
Yep.
How many people do this, or is it's just however many want to do it?
Well, it's so we've got. I'm a big believer.
Or is this individual therapy with VR?
You can do it however you want. We have it in both the group setting, and then we also utilize it for individuals.
Okay.
So groups, I'm a big fan of keeping those intimate in size. So somewhere between 8 and 12 is my preference. You get over 12, alcoholics, drug addicts, people struggling with their mental health, they all like to hear their own voice. I think we're all privy to that, right? So you give everybody a chance to talk if you keep it small. So 8 to 12 people in a group. Everyone gets a headset shipped to their house, and then everything's already on there. We put some safeguards in place that way they can't go do anything crazy with the headset, right? And then from there, when they put the headset on to get groups started, the headset it has the ability for the clinician to see the surrounding environment, to see the client's eyes through the headset. That way they can ensure safety for that human on the front end.
Right.
And then from there, the client gets to make their own avatar. So they get to be whoever they want to be. I saw this kid that,
be a human, a non-human.
You can be whatever. You can be a ninja warrior princess with pink hair and 2 swords on your back with boots that help you fly. Like I can't think of the Roman god that had the wings on his heels.
Phidippides.
Yes, and so you can be whatever you want.
I just won Trivial Pursuit for the day.
There you did.
There you go.
You did. I was never going to get that. So you helped. Thank you. So they pick that avatar, and then that's how they show up in the group setting, which makes it super comfortable. So somebody that may be struggling with that identity component, or maybe they're trying to figure out where they fit in the world, whatever it is. And so that has been something really cool to see. And then just taking them to we have a Mars room where we literally built Mars, I think is a simple way to put it. And then we'll meet everybody on Mars, and we'll do groups sitting on the surface.
So outside the novelty of that, so where's the clinical breakthrough in that?
So the biggest piece that we've found is 2 areas. One, the anonymity component, that it allows individuals that don't want people to know that it's them. That has been huge. So that's really big in the first responder demographic for us.
100%. Okay,
right?
I can see that.
Because it's...
Well, I mean, think about it. If you're a first responder, or let's say you're a police officer, okay, and you need to go to treatment. I hear this all the time from the first responder community. You need to go to treatment. You're brave enough to go to treatment, and then you walk into a group, and then there's a guy you just busted.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, my identity is wrecked.
Yep. So that has been huge. I didn't even see that one coming, right? That happened out of necessity.
I've heard that with teachers. I've heard that with so anyone who has a profession, a blue-collar profession or a white-collar profession or whatever, doctors, nurses, they walk in and they're like, oh, that's a patient that so.
And Riley, is this just something that Recovery Unplugged patients get to utilize, or is it something you're licensing outside the organization?
Licensing it outside of the organization. Okay. So it's totally separate from Recovery. I've got a whole different leadership team, a whole different development team. It's its own entity in and of itself. We'd like
to drop a link in the show notes for that.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Super. Anyway, keep going. So anonymity.
Anonymity is number 1. And what was my second piece? Exposure therapy has been number 2. So whether that be someone that hasn't left their house since COVID, that is still a thing to this day, unfortunately, for some people. They're still just so terrified of the outside world. And the brain can't tell the difference between a real world situation or being inside of a virtual reality world. So one of the areas, an individual therapy session that I got to listen in on recently was a woman that had a deathly serious fear of elevators. Could not step into an elevator. She was afraid that she'd be on her way up, the cable would snap, and she'd go plummeting down to the bottom, and like you've seen in movies or shows, whatever it might be. And this woman, she literally was having the exact same reaction as if she was about to walk onto a real elevator. Even though she's standing in her living room, she fully believed, her body believed that she was stepping into an elevator. And it was just a simulation that we had created for her to be able to have that exposure in a safe environment with a clinician walking her through that, a master's level clinician being there to support and walk and talk along with her. And
do you also put people in environments that bring up cravings and
take
things
them
like
into
that?
a bar? I haven't built anything that takes them back to a crack house, if you will, like
or an EDM concert.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah, very true. No, I put those shows on so I can show them.
Okay, there you go.
That you don't have to have drugs and alcohol to have fun in that environment. But it's been so cool to watch people have those breakthroughs. And that woman now, it lives in a building that she has to get on an elevator to go up to her apartment. So it's just been. I think technology it's something that's advancing in crazy ways, right? Just literally at light speed. And our ability to apply it in a clinical setting is like it's going to be up to somebody to step up and say, hey, this could be really awesome.
Right.
Let's see.
Right.
Because it's not just going to happen.
Do you have some research to back up that, or is it still
100%.
or is it still new enough that it's
No, we've had good thoughts for 2026 will be year 3.
okay?
Yeah, year 3. So we've got a Columbia professor that's a part of the team that we've got white paper studies that could shoot over to you guys
Super
to see
cool.
the efficacy and stuff. So it's a real thing. I lead sales teams, but I'm a terrible sales guy. Like I'm just going to shoot you straight. I'm going to tell you exactly how it is. And I don't fall into that same philosophy of I'm going to talk about it and then we're going to build it on the back end.
You've already built.
I don't take something to market unless I can back it up with some proof. It's the way
Well,
that
I mean,
roll.
it's ironic to me because as I was looking at that and I was like, okay, this is probably one of those unintended consequences of the metaverse.
Totally fair.
And it's like, was there any thought of that, or it's just you just saw an application and went for it?
We saw an application. I mean, it started with back in 21. Our corporate leadership team, our executive team, me, Rob, Andrew, Rachel, Kevin. We didn't have Vineet yet, but we all bought our own Meta headsets when they were hot and popular, and we had this idea that this could work. So we started doing some of our executive leadership meetings in the metaverse to see what that application could feel and look like.
You guys actually did what they
Yes.
were encouraging people to do.
Yes, that's because we were like, all right, maybe.
Mark, did you do that?
Yeah, we've built out virtual sets for clients.
Well, no. I mean, has your management team?
No, we haven't.
I've actually never done a meeting in the metaverse.
It's actually kind of fun. It feels weird the first 3, but then it's like I'm gonna just yell at you the same way I'd yell if I was gonna yell at you in person, or I'm gonna love on you the same way that I would love on you if I was gonna love on you in person.
I just happen to look like a Gila monster.
Yeah, whatever you want to be. That's the cool part. You can be whatever it is that your heart desires. That's the cool part.
Well, talking about your background in leadership and sales. I mean, you started out 3 months in, you're the executive director.
Yeah.
You've grown all the way up to chief growth officer. You say you're not a good salesperson. I'm sure you connect with people really well and build relationships. But beyond that, I mean, the innovator that it seems like you are, I mean, I'd just be interested in, hearing maybe how has your leadership style had to change when you're not just running one program now, you're also running some other companies with separate leadership teams, and you're still a young man too. So,
listen, like I kind of spoke to already. It all goes back to any great leader holds the same belief. I know you guys do, that people are your business at the end of the day. Right? Like without the right people, you can be one of two things. You can either be a business operator or you can be a business owner. And those two things look very different. You either are working in the business or you're working on the business. And I've been extremely blessed to have an awesome leadership team underneath me that allows me to go work on and build all these crazy other things that are going to bring more good to the world, right? And so Evan Radke is one. He's the VP of outreach for me. He worked at a couple of different behavioral healthcare places, and brought him on board, sold him a vision and a dream 5 years ago. And he took a leap of faith because I'd just taken over our sales teams then. And he's he's leading a team of 22 outreach professionals that are responsible for 60% of the admits into Recovery Unplugged. Just absolutely crushing it. And it's doing it the hard way, going into hospitals, building relationships with charge nurses, ER department chairs, social workers. Like, they're doing the real work that business development should be, not the version that can exist, which is hanging out, waiting on your phone to ring, showing up for a lunch, taking a picture, not a single human on the outreach team at Recovery Unplugged falls into that demographic. We're good. We got people that want to go build relationships in the community that they're a part of. And then Ashley Armstrong, she's an alumni of Recovery Unplugged, and now leads a 18-person alumni coordinator team for me across the nation. And then my director of marketing, Greg Roselle, he's an alumni of Recovery Unplugged, and has just it's not me is the crazy part, right? I was blessed to be a decent leader. I do a good job of galvanizing people and getting them bought into a mission and a vision and an idea, and then from there it's just placing bets on the right humans. What does their heart look like? Are they willing to work hard? Do they want more? If the answer to that is yes, I can coach and train and mold just about anybody if they have those innate skills inside of them. So,
I can't help but just pick up this sense of altruism and optimism with you. Where do you think we're going in our industry in the next few years?
Listen,
I've got to assume you're thinking, hopefully.
I do, and I think that one of the beginning of this year, I was pretty nervous, right? We all knew that the ACA was going to take a huge impact.
That was definitely a follow-up question I was going to ask.
So October, November, December, when the big beautiful bill was being worked on, talked about all the things, right? Like we knew it was coming.
Right.
I made two very different outlooks for 2026. One was catastrophe scenario, 75% of people lose access to their ACA supplemental, benefits. And then 25% lose access. So two very different worlds. Being a mainly in-network provider as Recovery Unplugged, we were going to have one or two things happen. Luckily, by the grace of God, it was that 25% locked access.
You knew the pool was going to be smaller.
Correct. And so that was a scary place to find out. We weren't overly invested in the ACA. We were about a 60% commercial, 40% ACA split. And so that Q4 last year was, how do we move this number down in a meaningful way from 40% to, even if we get to 30, that's less exposure. So that was number one initiative, went really well for all the teams that were involved in that. And today we sit at a 70, Q1 through end of February was 72-28 split, 72% commercial and then 28% being the ACA policies.
So do you think that's unique to Recovery Unplugged, or do you think that's really the number kind of across the board?
Listen, I think transparently, I hold relationships across the nation. I've been blessed to be able to build my footprint in that way. And I know there's people that are really struggling in the behavioral healthcare space because they weren't in a position to be ready for that challenge that the ACA has presented. So what do I think is going to happen? I think we're going to see a squeezing and a tightening from a provider perspective. I don't think everybody's going to make it, unfortunately, which stinks, right? Because I'm a firm believer. I don't believe in competition. I don't think there's ever going to be enough beds in this country to help everybody that needs help.
Right. Compete with yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Just every day I'm going to be a better version of 100%. What I was yesterday.
So I think that's a really sad component. But I think what it will also do is it's going to push some of the not so awesome players out of the space, which I can always be a fan of.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's one component, and then component two is going to be, I was alive during the .com bubble. I wasn't in business during the .com bubble, right? Like I remember my mom and dad getting their first cell phone, and I played the snake game on it, and I think we're living through the .com bubble 2.0 right now. So VR looked like it might be that, but AI, truthfully, is changing every single vertical of business on planet Earth, and it is moving at lightning speed. I'm a believer that a day to us is a week in AI world. A week to us is a month in AI world, and then a month to us is a year when it comes to AI. Just with the way that it's progressing so quickly, and sure, you got your 4 big dogs that are kind of stepping up to the plate, right? You got Anthropic with Claude, OpenAI has Chat, you've got Grok from Elon, and then you've got Gemini from Google. And I think what we're beginning to see is each of them is kind of starting to specialize,
develop a personality,
bit, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's awesome. But I do think what we're in the middle of, especially in behavioral healthcare, is kind of I don't know that fear mongering is the right word, but it kind of feels like that's where people are. Like you're either all the way for AI or you're completely opposed to it. And I don't think like being super far left, super far right never works well, right? It doesn't matter what we're talking about.
Right.
But the reality is that the reason that I'm a fan of what AI can do in our space is there's one resource on planet Earth that is the most finite resource known to mankind. Only one. Any guesses what that is, in my opinion?
Time.
100%. You're the first person that's gotten that right. First
Really?
question.
I had it too.
Listen, you're too slow. But AI gives us the ability to give humans back their time. There's never been anything in history that can do the mundane, non-human needed task to then give people back the time to go do what they actually want to do, to allow a clinician to go spend more time speaking to a client and not spending 3 hours every single day typing notes, right?
Yeah.
Or with a call center, being able to take that pre-assessment that's the exact same questions over and over and over and over again, and allowing an AI agent to ask those questions from an empathy first place. You've just given back 15 to 20 minutes per patient that's coming into your system, right? And for me at Recovery Unplugged, that's looked like hundreds of hours that I've been able to give back to my life-saving center team, which is our call center. And so if we can give humans back something that we can't make more of, because we can always make more computers, we can always come up with new clinical assessments to get, we can do all sorts of stuff. None of us get more time. That's a fact.
Well, let's stay here for 1 minute too. Just, I think before the show, you also talked about you innovated a product for call centers.
Yeah.
That was an AI assistant to answer the calls, because you saw, which we see too, a large number that go unanswered. And maybe you could talk about that innovation too.
100%. Truthfully, where it came from was, we do somewhere between 13,000 and 15,000 new callers every single month. And call center that's not where my expertise lied, but I knew there was a problem, right? Nobody's calling a treatment center to sell a car, buy a couch. Somebody's in crisis, whether it's a human on the phone or a family member of the person that's on the phone with you. And we were missing 18% of our phone calls.
Wow.
And that's a big number when you look at 13 to 15,000. So took one of the team and said, hey, listen, there's this AI thing going on. I think there's an opportunity to answer every single phone call and do justice by the people that are picking up the phone and calling, right? Making sure that they can have access to a solution. And so they went to work building a solution. I call it an answering agent is the terminology I like to use. And their question was, what do you want it to do? And I said, I want it to be empathy first, empathy second, empathy third. I see you, I hear you, what you say matters, because that can get lost in our space in a big way, right? And so that's exactly what they built. It blew my mind that an idea actually worked. Like that was the craziest thing. Like sure, the VR company, that made a ton of sense. It was already happening. Nobody done this yet.
Right.
And so that went really well. And that was step one. That was V1. We've been through like 200, I forget the exact, it's 200 and some odd iterations of that agent.
Wow.
So you were missing 18% of calls. How many are you missing today?
Zero. And you want to know the crazy part? The data right now is telling me that the AI is doing a better job than the humans. which is terrifying, right? I'm not doing a good job training people. I'll own that, right? I can do a better job of giving them the right tools.
So why do you think that is?
I think it is that I think all of us get our empathy meter runs a little low at times, right? Mm-hmm. We don't always have the best days, or maybe our life isn't going great. Mm-hmm. And so our ability to give and apply empathy to another human is 100% dependent on our current state. AI doesn't have a state. It does what you tell it to do. Sure, you'll hear talks about whispers and all that kind of jazz, but for the most part, it's to a place now where that stuff isn't a real threat. And so its empathy meter is always 100% full. And I think that, truthfully, for me, is that differentiating factor. Or
you may start the day with your empathy battery completely full, but then 100 calls later, that empathy battery is depleted to some degree, right?
1,000%.
And so then the agent never gets tired.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
And what was your theory of how callers were going to respond to the agent?
So I actually A/B tested that because I was like, all right, nobody's going to want to talk to a computer. There's no shot, right? This is a human interaction business. We can't lose that. And so I A/B tested telling people that they were talking to a virtual assistant. I didn't use the word AI. All right, I was a little salesy, but the virtual assistant felt a little softer than an AI agent. So, hey, this is Harmony. So Harmony and Melody are the two names that I started with, right? Hey, this is Harmony with Recovery Unplugged. I'm a virtual assistant. Could you tell me what you're calling in for today? So that was V1. That was test A. Test B was, hey, this is Harmony with Recovery Unplugged. What can I help you with today? And you run through those talk tracks, right? And it's not rich. She is coming up with her own responses. Sure, we've prompted her and given her direction.
She's got a bank.
Her RAG data is wild. So with that, what we did see is when we told people it was a virtual assistant versus when we didn't tell people, when we get to the pre-screen process where they're pouring their heart out, right? They're talking about how ugly it's been, how rough it is, how often they're thinking about killing themselves, because that's a super common occurrence in the space. And what we found over and over and over again was when we told people it was a computer, we got 3x more raw, unfiltered responses on that pre-screen than when we didn't tell them that it was a virtual assistant. And I was like, this is the exact opposite of what I ever expected.
You know, first of all, that's amazing information to share. This validates the idea, and you've seen it, because it's like we knew this kind of as a canary in the coal mine when the first time you put chat on your website. The first thing that I noticed, and you probably noticed too, is like, I'm amazed at what people will put in that chat box.
Oh, yeah.
I'm literally amazed at how vulnerable people are because they think there's anonymity behind it. Do you think that that's the theory?
I think it is, for the conclusion I've come to. I don't have white paper outcomes on this, right? So this is Riley personal professional opinion on that outcome.
Anecdotal, but that's okay.
People aren't afraid that they're going to be judged by a computer, right? So they're not worried about the anonymity piece. They just know this isn't going to judge who I am as a human and the actions that I've made. I'm safe.
They're petrified of hearing the bless your heart.
Yes.
And it's like, and then all of a sudden it's like that openness just completely closed. And it's like, I regret ever making this call. I'm going to end it.
So that's 100% the conclusion I came to, was it's that stigma, right? That people in recovery all have towards the life that you've been living, even though anybody that's working in a behavioral health care call center just wants to be a helper. They just want to help you get help, right? But when they feel like they don't have to worry about being judged by that person on the other end of the phone, the answers are, and all that does is it allows us to go get you more care. It allows for you to stay in treatment for longer, force your insurance company, which in my opinion is modern day version of the mafia. I don't know your all's take, but that's my take on the carriers. We don't have to get into that, but that truthfully, that was one of the most eye-opening experiences for me, and allowed me to remove that guise that I'd put in my own head surrounding how people would respond to AI. And so I'm a massive believer today after that experience. And we've got 4 agents that do all totally different solutions, 23 separate logos that are partnered with us with RVK, a couple of large corporate, contracts.
Well, I just want to stay on this topic for one. How far are you allowing the agent to go? All the way through that initial assessment, and then at what point do they hand off to a human?
Yeah, so we've got multiple different ways that it can be done. I'm a fan of, I don't want to replace humans. That's never the objective. I want to give them back time, right? And so if every human agent is on the phone, the AI is picking up at Recovery Unplugged. And that's the case for most of the places that we're partnered with. And then from there, its job is to information gather, qualify the patient. And then if, let's say it's somebody that just finds themselves really down on their luck, maybe they've been homeless for a couple of years, they have no resources, it then is going to walk them over to the SAMHSA website and solution options on its own, right? So it's never going to just drop somebody, which I think is something that can happen at times.
It can happen,
right?
Sure.
So I wanted that to be a huge piece of what it could do. And then from there, once the AI gathers all that information, typically one of two things happen. You either stay on the phone and then a live agent is going to pick it up, or we're going to reach back out to you as soon as someone becomes available. And every bit of information is already ready to go for that human, so they can then just jump right into that next conversation.
So has this allowed you to increase your call volume, decrease your staff? What are the levers that you're using based upon that?
So we've increased call volume 100%. I have been able to get rid of my overnight staff, which for us is realistically fringe benefits, everything included, about $240,000 a year that we're going to be able to push to the bottom line. And then, truthfully, the spot that we found the most time saving was in the pre-screen arena. And so
I
just
can see that.
15, 20 minutes that I give back to our humans. So we're answering more live calls, but then the agent's still there to be able to answer them. But I think we can agree in our space, missing that one phone call could be the difference for a small location, right? Sure, we're big, but if this was around when I first got to Recovery Unplugged 7 years ago, I couldn't even tell you where we'd be, because that one patient is the difference between success and failure month over month over month.
That's
for
right.
Small players.
That's right.
So, yes, we've been able to reduce our cost. Yes, we've been able to see higher conversion rates across every single vertical, which is always the goal, right? That means your marketing spend can go down and all those things. So it's like I said, it's one of those things where I can't believe it's doing exactly what I hoped it would do, because I had some awesome people go build it. And my CTO for RVK, Zach Blevins, military veteran, DOD, former, tech guy that is just an absolute rock star of a dude. It doesn't matter how big the project is, he's got it. That's his response, just the optimism piece.
Amazing.
I think we could probably have a whole show on each one of your endeavors. But this has been amazing. Is there anything maybe we didn't ask you that you think would be valuable for the audience? You covered a ton, but...
No, I think for me, truthfully, I think I'm getting to do what I'm supposed to do on this planet today, which is lead leaders to create massive impact in this world, and then leave as big of a dent on this planet as I can while I'm here. And I know that the only way I can make that dent bigger is by having the right people be a part of that with me. So I couldn't be more grateful that as long as I keep myself right-sized and I allow God to steward each of these things that are going on, it's just amazing how doors just continue to fly open.
Well, Riley, you're doing it, man, and thanks for all you're doing. And we'll drop all the companies into the show notes just so that if anybody wants to reach out to you, they can.
Absolutely. How have we done on the empathy meter today with you, Riley?
You guys crushed it. Listen, I mean, one, you filled mine up, right? So just your energy and this honest. I'm a big believer that honest conversations can change the world. I believe that in the bottom of my heart.
Believe that
and
as
I
well.
feel like that's what we got to do today. And your all's empathy meters are. I don't know what you did this morning. Maybe you meditated. But you guys were fully topped off. I can tell you that much.
So will you come back?
Oh, 1,000%. This, like I started, this space is absolutely gorgeous, and it just the two of you together, your dynamic is rock solid.
Man, thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely.
And thanks for all you're doing. That's a wrap for today's episode of Mastermind. On behalf of Jeff, myself, and the entire Mastermind team, thank you for tuning in today. If this conversation with Riley sparked any questions about AI or about Recovery Unplugged, any of the things that he's working on, please drop your questions into the comments section. We'll get them over to Riley and have him answer them for you, or you can connect with him directly. Until next time, thanks for joining us on Mastermind.
That wraps up this episode of Mastermind. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, Mastermind is not just a podcast, it's a community. So don't forget to comment, subscribe, and review us. Your feedback helps us continue to bring you content that's relevant and relatable. Thanks again to our sponsor, Snapshot, a digital media marketing agency. And thank you for joining us on Mastermind, your behavioral health playbook.